6 new nations joined the BRICS grouping that are Argentina, Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia. New membership to come into effect from January 1st of 2024. The announcement comes on the final day of the 15th BRICS Summit in South Africa, Johannesburg. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi called for BRICS grouping to establish a space exploration consortium. Radiation levels near the crippled Fukushima nuclear power plant in Japan are said to be almost 9 times higher than in a normal natural environment. High radiation was detected several hours before the Japanese government started releasing wastewater from the plant into the Pacific Ocean. According to Tokyo Electric Power Company, the plan is to carry out the first round release over 17 days to discharge about 7,800 tons of the radioactive water. A Russian court has extended the pre-trial detention of jailed Wall Street Journal reporter. According to Moscow court, Evan Gershkovich will remain in a Russian jail until the 30th of November. Gershkovich is a US citizen. He was arrested by Russia's Federal Security Service on the 29th of March on alleged charges of espionage. Russia's security agency, FSB, accused him of collecting state secrets about a military-industrial complex. The Kremlin has claimed that Gershkovich, who is the first US journalist detained in Russia on espionage charges, was caught, quote-unquote, red-handed. South Korea's environmental groups are holding a rally in Busan to protest against Japan's Fukushima water release. More than 30 activists were seen chanting and waving flags on the beach and on boats while placing yellow plastic sheets with radioactive marks on the beach to symbolize the ocean contaminated by the water released from Fukushima. The protest occurred as Japan has started releasing treated radioactive water from the wrecked nuclear power plant with the Pacific Ocean. China's financial institutions will soon launch a special fund of $10 billion to implement the Global Development Initiative. Speaking at BRICS Summit, Chinese President Xi Jinping said that it will increase cooperation with African countries, which also include providing a complete set of data products for satellite mapping. North Korea's attempt to send what it claims to be spy satellite into orbit has ended in failure for a second time. The country's space authorities say that they will try again in October. The nuclear-armed country has been seeking to place what would be its first military spy satellite into orbit. A spy satellite is a priority of North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un and his plans to modernize the country's military and develop cutting-edge weapons. 10 minutes after the launch, the Japanese city of Okinawa received emergency warnings and advised its residents to take cover. The emergency warning was lifted 20 minutes later. And reacting to the launch, the US State Department has said that the attempted satellite launch violates multiple UN Security Council resolutions. Australia is giving easier access to its vast critical minerals sector. This is part of negotiations over a free trade agreement with the European Union ahead of a possible further talks next week. Australian Trade Minister has said that a free trade agreement would simplify European investment in the country's burgeoning critical minerals sector. Negotiations between Australia and the 450 million person bloc were stalled in July, partly over the issue of greater market access for Australian farm products like beef. A bus full of pilgrims from Indian state of Rajasthan met with an accident in Nepal. At least 7 people have died and 19 others have been injured. Reports say that the bus lost control and fell into a ditch of more than 100 meters below the road. Among the dead ones is a Nepali citizen and the rest are residents of pilgrims from Rajasthan. The accident took place in Bara district while they were returning from Kathmandu after visiting the Pushpapatinath temple. A spat of looting at stores and supermarkets around Argentina has led to dozens of arrests, and this point out a possible sign of increasing volatility with the inflation over 100% and amid a tense race to the general election in October. According to some CCTV footage, people were seen breaking into stores, stealing food and other items. The country's economy minister has said that a government aid of $19,150 would be given to the victims of looting. However, the International Monetary Fund has announced the disbursement of $7.5 billion for Argentina. Now, this comes as the IMF completed the 5th and 6th reviews of their $44 billion program. A Norwegian energy firm has inaugurated the world's largest floating offshore wind farm. The farm's output is set to supply nearby oil and gas platforms and cut their greenhouse gas emissions. The farm's 88 megawatts capacity will cover around 35% of annual power demand for 5 oil and gas fields in the North Sea. The wind farm is expected to reduce CO2 emissions by 200,000 tons annually. However, the technology is still in its infancy. MRI scans could help spot early signs of prostate cancer that blood tests fail to pick up. A new study has found that MRIs could significantly reduce deaths from what is the most common cancer found in men. A study in the UK gave a group of 303 men both blood tests and MRI scans. 29 of them were diagnosed with cancer that required treatment, but in half of those cases the blood test came back as normal, incorrectly telling that they are cancer-free. Researchers are now saying that using MRI scans could cut down on these errors and get more men the care that they need. The oldest living survivor of the 1921 Tulsa massacre visited the United Nations on Wednesday. The 109-year-old lady showcased her memoir, which details a massacre of Tulsa's prosperous African American community. It is estimated that as many as 300 people, most of them black, died in the massacre. Chilean police have deployed helicopters to rescue people and animals trapped by floods in El Monte. Torrential rains have hit the central southern region of Chile, leaving thousands homeless, roads blocked, causing blackouts and leading to evacuations. President Gabriel Boric declared a state of catastrophe on Monday and asked Chileans to comply with the evacuation orders. Forecasters expect more rain to fall across mountainous areas, which authorities warn increases the risk of flooding and landslides. Violent weather wreaked havoc in Saudi Arabia's Mecca on Wednesday, sending both pilgrims and residents scrambling for cover from the strong winds and rain. The country's weather department had issued an advisory earlier and warned that the unstable weather was expected to persist. Videos posted on social media showed pilgrims and locals struggling against the powerful gusts of wind and heavy rain. Many could be seen seeking refuge in the various corners of the Grand Mosque as thunder and lightning struck across the sky. Fierce wildfires have been spreading in Bolivia and Peru, affecting residents in both countries. At least 5 people have died due to the raging fires in Peru so far. Bolivian authorities have deployed more than 500 armed forces to battle the wildfire. Meanwhile, Peru faces a similar struggle as the forest fire has caused significant damage to livestock and the natural environment. According to reports, the roaring flames have consumed almost 200 hectares, devastating the vegetation and houses in many districts. The wildfire that broke out over the weekend in northeastern Greece is raging for the 4th day, killing at least 18 people. Meanwhile, fires near Athens have shrouded the capital in smoke and prompted evacuation orders. Greece has called on the European Union's civil protection mechanism for help from neighboring countries. Hundreds have fled their homes nationwide since fires erupted, fanned by heat and high winds in the summer's second major outbreak. Some news from the world of business now. Reports suggest a number of global and local distressed assets investors are considering buying some of State Bank of India's bad loans put up for sale in the financial year that began in April. The country's top state lender earlier this month identified a list of 331 non-performing assets with a combined outstanding value of $11.6 billion. NVIDIA's chief executive officer, Jensen Huang, grew as much as $4.2 billion richer after the company's latest earnings and forecast beat estimates. The shares of the chipmaker surged as much as 10% in aftermarket trading, boosting Huang's total fortune to $46.1 billion. According to Bloomberg Billionaires Index, these are the data. If that gain can be sustained, Huang is poised to end up among the world's 25 wealthiest individuals. The US Securities and Exchange Commission, or the SEC, has introduced a sweeping set of rules aimed at revolutionizing the private funds landscape. Long criticized for its lack of transparency, the private equity and hedge fund industry is now set for transformation. The new regulations will require private funds to issue quarterly reports detailing expenses, performance, and fee structures. Moreover, certain preferential treatments for investors will be barred, fostering fairness. Now, these changes promise accountability and integrity for investors, both large and small. The rules, set to be effective in 60 days, are poised to reshape an industry managing around $20 trillion in assets. The German government support for investments in China has taken a nosedive this year. According to a recently revealed document, investment guarantees to companies venturing into China have plummeted to just a fraction of last year's figures. Germany and China's economy now face challenges from China's advancing manufacturing sector. Fears of vulnerability after Russia's 2022 Ukraine invasion prompted Germany to re-evaluate its single partner dependence, with Germany's new China strategy in play. The focus shifts towards safeguarding sensitive technologies. Now, aerospace giant Boeing has uncovered a new quality issue with its 737 MAX aircraft. The problem centers around improperly drilled holes in the AFT pressure bulkhead linked to suppliers Spirit Aerosystems. Now, this setback is expected to cause delays in near-term deliveries, potentially jeopardizing Boeing's goal of delivering at least 400 737s this year. Although Boeing assures that not all 737s are affected, the delay could impact the first MAX 8 delivery to Malaysia Airlines. The company is working to address the issue, but it remains uncertain how many aircraft will require rework. Spirit Aerosystems has already implemented process changes to rectify the situation.